Are these also in your business coverage? Will can
Yeah.
these be?
Wow.
The fire department came in and then they start knocking out all these.
So,
to find
when
out
it comes to fire, also always leads down to water because when fire.
Water coverage actually is very tricky.
I see.
It is.
A reason why they may be denied or it takes a long time to.
Hello, welcome back to Real Time Sense CRE and More, where we teach you about commercial real estate and more. Today, my partner Simon Ye and I are featuring Susan Chen from New Century Insurance Service and Andy Tai from PuroClean Environmental Cleaning Service. Hi, Susan. Can you introduce to us about yourself?
Hi, my name is Susan Chen. I have been doing commercial insurance for 33 years.
Wow.
And joined New Century like 28 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, commercial insurance, do you know what we usually do?
Commercial insurance. Are you talking about like a property and casualty insurance on commercial buildings or different?
Yeah, commercial buildings or business owners. And for example, if you are a business owner, if you have employees, you need to have workers' comp insurance.
Oh, sure.
Good. And Andy, tell us about yourself and your company.
Yeah, so we're from PuroClean. We're a full-service restoration company. We specialize in mostly water damage, fire, mold, biohazard-related problems for homeowners and commercial property owners and businesses. We also accept insurance, so we deal with a lot of different types of insurance companies in case of if there's a claim.
Look,
Yes.
Tom, power team right here.
Yes, they are our power team. Actually, I wanted to pretend I didn't know what Susan does because a lot of my business clients actually uses her service. They can have a need for her. Yes. So, Susan, some of my clients are using like for product liability. Can you tell us about like in what cases clients might call you for needs aside from a commercial building?
For product liability insurance, for example, no matter you are a retailer or wholesaler or importer or manufacturers, they, as long as they sell products, they need product liability insurance. So, for example, like some of my clients, actually, they are overseas manufacturers,
Right.
but they are required by the U.S. buyers like Home Depot or Menards. They said you have to have a U.S. policy
Right,
in order
that's
to do
correct.
business here. Otherwise, we won't have a contract with you. So some of them, they have U.S. subsidiaries. Some of them, they don't. But we are able to arrange U.S. policies for them. So this is a very special niche market that lots of people, including lots of insurance brokers, they don't know how to do it, or they don't have the capacity to do it.
That is true. It's very niche trade, and yet we have a lot of business people that are in City of Industry, in Ontario, in Fontana, that are supplying Amazon stores
Yeah.
and online
The
stores.
3PLs.
Yes.
Yeah, 3PL. Third-party logistic companies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their products and their employee might need insurance. This is when Susan comes in, and
And Andy, how about you? What is your experience about commercial real estate? And have you done recovery for commercial properties?
Yeah, often we sometimes we have incident where plumbing fixture would break in the office or commercial facility,
Right.
and will cause water damage. So what my team does is we work hand to hand with a lot of insurance carrier and also property owners. We have a 24-hour response team where we can go out there and offer the clients a 24-hour free assessment and to figure it out, like what's wrong with it, and hopefully help them get back to normal as soon as possible.
Right. I recall last year or the year before, one of my clients who is an auto parts, I guess e-commerce auto parts company. They were in Chino, and he called me. He's like, "Hey, Simon, we got damage from the water plumbing
Exactly.
issue, and then they couldn't work for a couple of days, and they have no one to look for." And now we know Andy is a perfect candidate to refer to.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of times where clients confused about, rather it's something is going to be covered by insurance. They would think, hey, I've had insurance for many, many years and I have water damage, so, Susan should cover me, help me out. But, in reality, insurance only look at a certain, depends on the cost of the water damage. So it's also good to have somebody you can trust to help you assess and take a look and to kind of give you an opinion on rather this likely will be covered or is less likely to be covered.
So wouldn't it be good for these clients to have Susan review their policy? Because some of them bought the policy continuously for 10 years, 20 years ago.
Yes.
And the coverage may not be enough.
Oh yeah,
like
that's actually another big issue that we run into is, having clients, that have tenants, like business tenants.
Right.
Or commercial tenants that are underinsured.
Right.
When something happened, if the tenant doesn't have the business correct amount for their business insurance or their liability insurance, then it goes down to the property owner insurance. Now, the property owner insurance also needs to be reviewed as well because
that's right.
If the property was purchased 20 years ago. Construction costs and replacement costs nowadays is a lot different.
Yeah.
So it is also a very good, it's definitely a recommendation for anyone that is a property owner, rather you're a commercial or, residential owners, or even if you're a tenant for residential or commercial tenants, it's always recommended to, check and see what kind of insurance you can get as a landlord or as a tenant.
So Tom, question for you. You represent a lot of landlords for commercial real estate property as well as tenants for real estate properties. Do you run into requirement of getting commercial insurance all the time? Whether it's the landlord's requirement or your tenant wants to buy insurance for their properties?
Yes, in AAA cases, the tenant is responsible for buying the insurance and insuring the landlord to hold them harmless. So that's usually on a triple net cases, which is what I like to deal. The landlord is worry-free and yet they are insured. What is your number one reason or number two reasons why people call you for help?
Well, we're called the paramedics of property damage. So we're kind of an emergency team that help property owners when there is a disaster in their property, commercial property, multifamily, you name it, right? In the commercial world. So, rather is, something from the washing machine in the washing machine room that broke out, maybe sewage backed up and there's, dirty water all over the place. Or sometimes, maybe we just had a fire that we're working on in the city of Lomita. It's a condominium unit of, I believe it's like 25 units of condominiums. And there's a kid supposedly in the middle of the condominium, and he cooked something in the microwave and it burned like a lot of it affected a lot of the neighbors around him. Wow. So like, when the emergency stuff like that happen, either the owner or the property manager or the insurance agent, sometimes the insurance adjusters, they would call us because we are going to be the first one to arrive and document everything to be on, like a mutual side between the insurance agent and the homeowner, and, to consult the homeowner, how to
so you also help
claim.
Talking with the insurance as well.
Yeah.
Well, we're not in the insurance field or we determine any type of coverage. However, we can be the eyes for the agent or for the property owner. If something happens, we can go and give whoever that needs the report, like an incident report or assessment, an estimate of what the damages is, and and see how they want to proceed.
Because when you arrive at the scene, it's not always a claim because they might be undercovered or it's not covered by insurance.
Yes.
And you are the first one to review what's going on.
Yes. So if it's something small, usually we'll recommend the client to, go with, like a self-pay option instead of going through insurance, because often you go through insurances for like major events, like earlier what I said, like the Lomita fire.
Right.
If your home is affected by fire or smoked heavily, or with water damage, then yeah, it's probably you might want to consider, using your insurance for this case. But if it's like a regular, toilet backed up, maybe a little bit of area was affected, it's probably best to, settle it, privately and just pay out of your pocket.
Sure.
Yeah.
I actually have a few experiences of dealing with mediation companies, and I'll share it a little later, but I would like to go to Susan a little first.
Okay.
In case of items like fire and water damage, are aside from the building, I know buildings usually covered, is there a product, or how do you have policies to protect anything else in a business?
Yeah, the policy forms, actually, they have three kinds. One is called a basic form, one is a special form, and the middle one is a broad form. So for special form, it's like they tell you what is not covered. Like in the exclusion section,
Right.
you need to read it, say what's not covered. So if it's not in the exclude section, that means it's covered.
I see.
So for example, like right now, a lot of our clients have to go to California Fair Plan because they got kicked out due to the building too old, or either had previous claims. So Fair Plan, they only give basic form. So they will tell you what's covered: fire, lightning, so like a few. And for the special form and the replacement cost, that's the things that we want to make sure you have it if you could. Then in case of water damage, for example, like a pipe broke or a sewer backup, all these things you want to see, they are covered. And if it's the water coverage actually is very tricky. If it's coming down from the sky and you do your maintenance, it's not due to wear and tear, then the water damage will cover. In case of anything happen, like a wind blow off the roof, or rock or something like tree fall onto the roof and damage, and the water seeping into the roof, and then all of a sudden the whole water clap down, it's covered. But if the water is from the surface, like flood and like
Pipe.
A pipe.
You're talking about rainwater coming into the house, right?
Yeah, like the surface water, like the reservoir, something like a flood. It's you
From
have
the
to,
outside of the
from
house.
outside have to be covered by the flood insurance.
I see.
It's a separate policy to cover.
I see.
Yeah. So water coverage actually is very tricky.
I see.
It is.
Yeah.
I see.
So definitely want to reach out to Susan to review tenants or landlords policy, because a lot of people, they want the cheapest.
Right.
And they don't know what's covered and what's
Right.
not covered. Up
Right.
until a disaster happens, then they were like, hey, Andy, can you help me claim with the insurance? But at the end of the day, sorry, your insurance policy does not cover these.
Yeah.
Right.
I know you have a lot of business clients, import-exporters from China, overseas, Taiwan, and maybe here. And what are the insurance procedure to insure their company or their product from China and to US? And is there, if something happens on the sea, is that also covered? If something happens in the warehouse, something gets stolen, like if something happens during a drought, are these also in your business coverage? Well, can this be wow?
Yeah. For example, you need a ocean marine policy to cover the transit from outside, right outside the door of the supplier, and until get into the receiver's warehouse. It's called a door-to-door or warehouse-to-warehouse. So that's covered under that policy.
I see.
And
Okay.
if you have a warehouse in between, for example, you need to have the product so in another locations for assembly and then ship over, or you need to sit in the warehouse. Those warehouses, we can also schedule it into the ocean marine policy.
Okay.
But after the merchandise is like unloaded to the warehouse already, then you want to ship out with either container or trucks,
Pallets.
then belongs to inland marine coverage.
Wow.
Inland marine.
Yeah, so the ocean marine policy, you can also have inland marine included in this policy to cover the transit. Yeah, and for the merchandise in the warehouse, it's covered under the commercial package policy, the property section. So then it's like in case of theft or fire or water damage, these are under the commercial property policy. And it will include also business income in case like in case of fire.
Right.
And then you cannot continue to do the business. So, for example, it takes about 6 months or 1 year to back to normal. But you don't have the net income. And you still have to pay the rent, maybe still have to pay the payroll.
That's right.
This is included in the business income coverage.
I see.
Yeah. So if so the product liability or the premises liability, we have a general name called commercial general liability.
I see.
Plus the property put it together called a package policy.
Package policy.
Yeah. So the package policy actually have a package discount. We always try to see what fits the best for the client. We design the policy and try different ways.
First of all, Simon, have you dealt with any like mediation deals?
I have not. But, as part of being a commercial loan broker and as well as residential loan broker, it is always good to have resources like Andy and Susan. And insurance is always required when we, fund the loan, right? And then also, whenever there's a disaster, we need to reach out to somebody to take care of it.
Yes.
And these two are our trusted partners.
Yes.
So go ahead.
I'll talk about my 2 experiences dealing with mediation company. One was in 2012 in a medical office. At night, there was a toilet plug in the 2nd floor, but it was around 8 p.m. already, so no plumber was working at that time. So we only just turned off the water or like say, hey, it's supposed to stop, you do not use. But in the morning, people come to the medical office and they see the doctor, they have the need for using the bathroom. They did not, it was not fully secure. So they still use it and they still flush it and it became a biohazard because the backflowed up from 2nd floor and it was leaking down to first floor.
Wow.
And then so they had to claim an insurance policy because it was water damage and also biohazard. They had to treat it just like the mold where they cut it off like the first 1 foot of it and then use the blow dryer. It affected all the doctors being able to run their business and also the potentially loss of rent and mitigation because they were not able to run their business for close to 1 month during that process.
Wow.
So yeah, the property manager that was responsible for it got fired because it's bureaucracy stuff. But it's just because overnight, one thing, it was mistaken care of, not taken care of, and it can cause such a big loss.
That's right.
Yeah. Have you dealt with something or interesting, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, something very similar happened in an office in Ontario just recently. We respond to it. It was the men's restroom, the urinal, the plumbing.
Yeah.
On top, busted, water spraying everywhere. A few minutes later, running, standing water right away. Multiple offices were affected. Luckily, we were called. We arrived in the scene in 2 hours. So if your property, in that particular case, if the property manager had our phone number, we would have been out in a scene. at night. That when we got a phone call from Ontario office building, it was around 6 p.m. So we got there around like 7:30-ish, and we started to first extract the water, like remediate the situation, so the wall doesn't absorb all the, dirty water, sewage water. Shut off the water, would be the first thing to do. And then we do also have a lot of resources with plumber that are servicing, all Southern California 24 hours as well. So we can definitely at least, minimize any secondary degree damage, and to be able to get the office up and running during the off hours. So, all the businesses at the Ontario professional buildings, they were back at work the next day. Of course, we had to remove some flooring because water got underneath of it. But replacing flooring takes probably a day or two, depending on how much flooring there is, comparing to cutting walls and doing the whole shebang.
Wow.
We saved a lot of downtime with the offices.
Yes.
So that's something that I can relate to from recently. Yeah, but we deal with all kinds of stuff, like hoarder homes. That's biohazard, because hoarder homes a lot of times has like animals, dead animals feces, rats, different types of animals.
Right.
Sometimes dogs, cats, all kinds. So if you guys have any questions regarding home disaster, even though if it's like not related to insurance or just like a simple questions, I'm happy to share our office phone number is a 24-hour phone number that anybody can call in and ask or get advice.
What is it?
So our phone number is, office main line is 626-923-9992. So it's a 24-hour line. Anybody can call. And if it's emergency, we'll definitely send somebody out within, hours.
That's perfect. Working. Oh yeah. So a lot of other experience. One is warehouse fires. There's a lot going on in San Bernardino, and also marijuana grow houses.
Oh yeah.
They have been in certain areas, such as the high desert, Moreno Valley, the more secluded rural area. I see a lot of water and mold damage claims, and often these are the ones who came out to rescue us.
Operating out of Southern California, recent years, the marijuana grow up, tear down has been like one of the biggest nightmares for everyone.
Yes.
A lot of homeowners and property owners. Now that is more importantly, a lot of carrier are having to starting to deny these claims. They're catching on, so they're writing out exclusions, for these claims. So I would like this opportunity to advise any property owners or commercial property owners, if you have cannabis tenants in your facility, I would try my best to get them out as soon as possible. Because, they might be paying you maybe a 50 cents or $1 extra per square foot, but the damages that will occur during this grow up is going to be, could be in tens of thousands, if not more. Yes. Depending on the size. So, a little bit extra deposit or a few extra thousand a month on rent is not worth it.
Yeah.
And it's probably best to shut it down before somebody shuts it down.
That's true.
Because, we've dealt with homeowners that have had authorities involved. Depending on the city, it's very, very draining for both homeowner and their pockets.
Yes.
And compared to if you were kicking out your tenants yourself and, dealing with it, it's a lot cost effective, even though it's still going to cost some money to, renovate and remove any damages. But that's my intake on cannabis.
I see.
What else did you ask me?
Fire.
Fire. Well, fire, it's very tricky because in a commercial fire, it also deals with a business in there. Sometimes the owner occupies the business, sometimes the warehouse is, rented out to like a Amazon warehouse or something.
Or tenants.
Somebody's shipping it out.
Yeah.
So, if it's a big fire or, it needs to, escalate to like insurance level, we would probably have to take a look at the policy first to see if, this case was owner occupied, we would be able to help them with maybe temporary storage, some of their, fixtures like office tables or maybe even inventory. We have multiple warehouse facilities that we are called a climate controlled protected facility that we would remove some of the contents, the personal belongings of the business or the tenant's content into our warehouse where we process cleaning and repackaging. So when the warehouse or the business is repaired, back to normal, then we would bring all the stuff back into the business. It depends. Sometimes it's like a surgery center that they have a lot of these, different types of equipments. Sometimes it's a, insurance office where they have a lot of computers and paperworks.
I thought all those have to be tossed away and repurchased. I didn't know you get to clean them.
Depending on the level of the damage to the content, sometimes because if it wasn't affected heavily, what we do is we would help insurance company conduct a inventory of what is salvageable and what is non-salvageable. So we have just picture a spreadsheet with, a lot of pictures and make and, manufacturer information, model number and stuff, like a list of what can be salvageable and cleaned and what needs to be, total lost. And mark down, what needs to be paid from the insurance instead of storage. Because sometimes, like for instance, if it's like some kinds of medical device that it's very expensive, it might be, if it's not severely damaged, it might be easier and more cost effective to clean it and trying to test it and see if it can work. Or versus, let's just replace the whole thing. Insurance company will look at that, but our job is to go in and help the property owner and the insurance company conduct the full total loss inventory of what we believe is salvageable.
And actually, I like how you explain. This actually tells you your experience. Actually, it's not just, hey, I'm really good. Hire me. These are the things that we really deal with. And yes. So behind every single one of these stories is a owner being helped, recovered. So that's why I enjoy talking with you, and I can see how you can help protect our business owners and property owners around us.
Yes.
Because I want to help you relate to scenarios that might happen. Recently, there's a restaurant in San Gabriel. The HV is so hot, 40-some degree HVAC was running, and there was a spark and fume that started, and it ran along the pipe. So the whole restaurant started with smoke, and everybody evacuated. And then the fire department came in, and then they start knocking out all these to find out all the location, and spray, because there was smoke, just spray everything. So it became water damage, and all these things got droopy and leaked down. So we are not just fixing a pipe, we are fixing all the secondary damage that these have caused. And it may not be it might just start with something with a grain of rice.
We deal with that all the time.
Thank you for your service.
So, when it comes to fire, also always leads down to water, because when fire department comes in, they're just pouring thousands of gallons and, cutting up whatever they need to cut up, to vent out, whatever. So our job is to, go in and, depending on the level of damage, help the business owner to see if we can get him back into business. That's the most important thing for business owners and commercial clients most of the time. Right. It's how am I going to keep their guys working? Mm-hmm. How am I going to open tomorrow and continue to make money so I can pay rent? Mm-hmm. So that's when it comes to commercial and business clients, that's often like our number one priorities. Right. Is to make sure we can accommodate as much as we can.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So for a broker, we actually standing with the client, representing the insured to shop around with different carriers.
That's exactly
what we do.
Yeah.
We are all brokers.
As a commercial loan broker, we shop on behalf of clients, finding the best suitable program or financing option for them.
Yeah.
So you are doing the same, finding the best suitable insurance coverage for them.
Right.
I wanted to ask Andy, how did you get into PuroClean and what is the reason you wanted to get into this industry?
And so when I started to do real estate investment, I would say like maybe about 10 years ago, I run into a lot of distressed properties, distressed commercial properties, warehouses, offices that are like high vacancy, that are like outdated, we would renovate it from, the roof down to, the plumbing underneath the ground, right? To get the property up. And so I started as a like a real estate investor.
Got it.
And about, I would say like 6 years ago, this opportunity came and I joined PuroClean. Which is one of the best decisions I've ever made. Now we help people every day, homeowners, commercial owners, property owners, to help them get back to normal. A lot of people don't even know about this, especially coming from an Asian community.
Right.
A lot of people didn't even know that. Oh, this can be covered by insurance. I didn't know that. Like I've been paying out of my pockets.
Got it.
Like I'm happy to be a resource, to any property owners that needs help. I'm a property owner myself and my family, and we know how it is dealing with tenants, commercial tenants, business owners, or regular apartment complex
good
people, the renters. So the relationship is the main thing with us. So we like to help the property owners in any ways we can.
Thank you. And same question for you, Susan. How did you get into insurance industry?
The first job was just I found a job.
Okay, into insurance field.
Right, insurance field. And then when I did it, I like it.
Okay.
Fits my personality.
I see.
I'm very detail oriented, and I want to get things done right. And when I see I can help the client to save premium and get better coverage and have them covered properly, I feel very rewarding.
Yes.
That's good. So
Susan, if people want to contact you and buy insurance, how do they contact you? What's the best way to contact you?
I always have my cell phone. So call my cell phone number, 626-823-0881. And for my email, actually I have a team Chen at usnci.com.
what for you, Andy? How do we contact you?
Yeah, so my cell phone number, my direct number is 626-497-6363. So I'm the operation manager of PuroClean. We take care of the whole Southern California. So LA, OCIE, all the way down to San Diego. We'll take care of all of your needs. If you want to learn something more about us, follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is PuroClean SoCal.
So thank you very much, Susan and Andy, for sharing your wonderful experiences with us. And
recently, we learned that insurance are retracting, uncovering a lot of multifamilies and some type of commercial properties. It's very important. You need to reach out to Susan to find your options for insurance.
One thing I have to note is that the commercial lending rate is also softening these days. Even though the Fed has not cut off the rate officially yet, the lenders are already expecting the drop in. So right now it's already a good time to get qualified for any property that you're like.
Yep. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Susan.